Very simple guacamole dip. And here's what we need. I have a very ripe avocado. I have 12 cherry tomatoes, 2 teaspoons of fresh lime juice, a small onion. We're going to need pepper to taste and also salt to taste. This is a really simple recipe. There are 1,000 recipes out on the internet, but this is mine. Really simple, really easy. So let's get started. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to get our avocado opened up. So I'm just going to open it up. This is very, very ripe. You really want a ripe avocado. There we go. Take your knife, just give it a little turn and it just pops right out. The seed comes right out, just like that. And what I'm going to do is just scoop everything out. And when it's ripe, it just comes out just like that. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? And there we go. That's how easy it is. And you can see how nicely that came out. Beautiful. Okay? Just take yourself a fork and you can just press it down. Or you can use a pastry blender, which is easy as well. But since this is so ripe, this is just coming apart very easily. So just break it all up just like that. And you really do want to get this mixed up properly before you add any of the other stuff in. So there we go. Just like that. Perfect. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to cut up our little cherry tomatoes. So I've got 12 of these here. You can also use a small tomato or medium-sized tomato, whatever size you want, but you want to get all of the seeds of a larger tomato out. So just cut the tomato in half and then just scoop out the inside. That's optional. If you want to have a little bit more juice in your guacamole dip, you can just leave the seeds in. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dice all of these up. So I'm not going to bore you doing all this. I'll just fast forward through the tape here while I'm doing this part. And our last one. Okay, perfect. Okay, on to our next step. All right, the next step, we're gonna dice up our onion. Just like that. Any size that you like. There are no rules. I'll just get that in there as well. Just like that. And then the other half. Just like that. Beautiful. You can see that this is a very, very fast and simple recipe. I'm going to take our lime juice and just get all of that in there. Perfect. And I'll get my spoon or your fork, just mix it all together. You know, and if you want more avocado and less tomato, you can, you know, just use half a tomato. It all depends on what you like. You know, if you want to make a recipe that goes just a little bit further, then you can, you know, add a little bit more stuff to it. So there we go. And the last thing is we'll just put in a little bit of salt. I'm not measuring it, I'm just few turns from my little salt shaker. That's beautiful. And then black pepper, and I'm just gonna just do this by eye. You know, maybe about 1/8 of a teaspoon. There we go, and that's perfect. And just mix it all up, and it's all ready to go. What I'll do now is I'll put a little bit of plastic wrap over this and pop it in the fridge and just let it sit there for a couple of hours. And what that does is it just really gets all of the flavors, you know, melded really nicely together. And there we go. Beautiful. So that is my fast and easy guacamole dip. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. without the suction cups, and some vendors sell it with the suction cups. This model includes the suction cups. Some of the vendors charge an extra $20 just for the suction cup feet. So let's break into this box and see what we've got. The first thing I'm doing here is just weighing the box and the actual French fry cutter, and I'm at 5.36 kilograms. I'll switch this over to pounds, 11.13 pounds, so you can see that this is very, very heavy. So we'll just unbox this and we'll check out what's inside. There's the inside. So we have two books here, one in English and one in French. So two instruction manuals. And then the actual unit itself. So here are the suction cups that I mentioned before. So depending on which vendor that you purchase from, these may be included, they may not be. And these are a $20 value. You can see how large these suction cups are. Quite large. And then the actual unit. Some more hardware. And our long handle. Nothing left in the box, so we'll get rid of that. So the first thing, we have a bolt here which is going to attach our handle to the main unit. So we'll get to that in a bit. And then our suction cups. So instructions for the suction cups. You can see how large these are compared to my hand. So really, really nice. Look at that, how that just grabs on there. Then you've got a little dimple here, which is usually to give a little pull to release this. This is actually, there we go. So we're gonna hook these on later. And then the handle. And that handle is substantial. This here, very, very heavy. Solid metal all the way through. There's absolutely no plastic on this. I am very impressed. And then the main unit, get that out. The blades are already in there, so you got to be very careful. It's nice that they cover everything with paper. You can see the beautiful stainless steel here. I'll remove this. You can see the nice slider. This is a really, really beautiful machine. In the front, we have the cutter. So the first thing I'll do, I'm going to figure out how to assemble this, and then I'll be back in a minute. So I figured out how to get this handle on. So you grab the handle, you take the single bolt, this long bolt, and that just slides through the hole here, through the whole handle, and out the other end. And then later on you're going to tighten this up a little bit with a wrench. That's good. And then, to actually get the handle working with this slider, this little bolt here, I'll show you that here, that bolt needs to go through the handle right here. So that's what we'll hook up next. So we bring that up. So it goes through, right through the handle, hook on the other side, and then the bolt on the other side. So a really, really simple setup here. And this one here, you're going to want to tighten as well with a wrench later on. So I'll turn this so you can see the action. So as the handle lifts, it pushes the plunger down onto the potato, and the potato exits this way. So you can kind of see how that's working here. I'll remove that. So that is really nice. Now this thing here, it is industrial. It can be set up with the little suction cups on the bottom, or it can be mounted as you would see in kitchens in restaurants. It's going to be mounted like this on the wall. We'll put on the feet next. So we have 4 suction cups. You're going to remove this little nut. You're going to lift up the machine and just get that right through there. Grab the nut and place that on there again. Now this doesn't come with a little lock washer, and I am going to actually buy a few of those and just get those in there, and that will just help out a little bit. They're not absolutely necessary. That's good. You can already see this is sticking to the table. These are really well made. I'll do one more. So we undo the little washer, the nut rather, pop it through, and then just spin it on. And there we have it. So I'll do the other 2 and I'll be back in a second. So I've got all of the suction cups on, so you can see them there. This actually looks like a little monster, a little dinosaur. Very, very neat. And this thing, really, really heavy. Now, let me just line this up here to show you. So I've got the handle here. Now watch as I lift the handle backwards. You can see the actual plunger is going right backwards. And if I get a measuring tape in here, I'll show you exactly how large of a potato you can get in here. So I'm going right up against the inside where the cutting blades are. And I'll just bend this so I get an accurate reading. And it's just a little bit over 6 inches. So that is a huge potato you can get in there. So that is really nice. So you can see the action here. And it's really smooth. And everything here is stainless steel, which is really nice. So the next thing what I'll show you are the actual cutters themselves. So here we have the actual cutting blade, and it is attached with a few wing nuts. And I'll just remove these to show you what it looks like when it's removed. And then you can just simply remove the cutting blade. I'll back this off so you can see. And there we have the blade itself. Extremely sharp, extremely. And that's how easy it is to pop this off if you want to wash it, etc. Or replace it for a different size, potato. And then to put it back on, you just line up your bolts, pop that on, get your little lock washers on there, then the wing nuts. And I really like the fact that they're using wing nuts, which makes this extremely easy, so you don't have to pull out a wrench every time you want to clean the blades or switch them to another cutting blade. So that's a really, really nice bonus. And I know what you're thinking. You're saying, get on with it, get on with it. We want to see a potato being cut, and that's what we're going to do next. So I've got a pretty large potato here. I'm going to peel that, and then I'll come back. So I've got my potato peeled. I'll pop that in there. I'm just going to get it right up against those blades. I'll grab that handle and just bring it down right over to the potato. And now I'm just going to give a nice solid pull. And there we have it. And look at the fries. And this blade here is a smaller blade. If you buy one of these little household cutters, you're going to notice that the French fries are quite a bit thicker. So this here needs a little bit of pressure. You can see that these French fries are quite thin. And so you're getting a lot more cuts. So you do need to give it a little, a good pull. But there we have it. Look at that. Beautiful. At this point, I think I've shown everything that this little machine can do. A really, really nice value at $100. So I'm going to end off here. I'm going to cut up a few more potatoes and I'm going to make myself some fries. That's it for today, and I'll see you next time. And just for fun, here's the size of a regular household French fry cutter that you'll typically see in your local stores. And here's the large one. Big, big difference. And here are the ingredients that we need. 1 cup of cake flour, 3/4 of a cup of granulated sugar, 3 large egg whites, 1/2 cup of salted butter, 1/2 cup of milk, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and 1 teaspoon of pure almond extract. So those are the ingredients, so let's get started. If you want to keep this recipe as white as possible and you don't want to use almond extract, you can use vanilla, but make sure that your vanilla is the clear vanilla, not the brown one. For our first step, in a large bowl, I'm going to get all of my butter, and my butter is at room temperature. I'm going to grab my mixer and I just want to cream this a little bit. So I just want to get this butter as soft as possible before I add in my sugar. Okay, that's pretty good. Then I'm going to grab all of my granulated sugar and get that right in. And very important, we want to cream this really well. So I've been mixing this about 2 minutes and you can see that it's nicely creamed together. So now we'll get on with our next step. So I'm just going to move my bowl to the side here for a second. I've got a measuring bowl. I'm going to take our egg whites and our milk and our almond extract. That's good. I'll just put my mixer in here. Just going to mix this up a little bit. Okay, that's good. Bring our bowl back in. And now we have our flour and our baking powder. I'm just going to combine those. So then just to loosen this up, I'm going to pour a little bit of our milk. Grab our mixer. Mix this around. And then we're going to sift in some of our dry. I'll go about half. Right in, that's perfect. Mix that in. Oh, this is smelling really, really good. Get up on the sides of your bowl with your mixer, so just up and down, just brings everything down into the center of your bowl. And then we'll go again. A little bit, about half more of the milk. That's good. Get the rest of our flour in. And remember, our baking powder was in with our flour. So that's our last addition of flour. And then the last bit of our mixture. So just mix this up well, and then we're ready to fill our pan. And that's perfect. So we're ready to fill our pan. This pan here is 8 inches in diameter. I sprayed it with a little bit of cooking spray. I cut out a piece of parchment paper and just placed that down in the bottom. We'll grab our nice batter. Just get that right in there. You can see how nice and white this is. Really nice batter. And it's very, very fluffy. And always use a spatula to make sure that you get everything out of your bowl. And there we go. I'm just going to tap it down a little bit so that it's more even. That looks good. And I'm going to pop this into my 350 degree Fahrenheit oven for about 25 minutes. So here we have our cake. I baked it for exactly 25 minutes in my 350 degree Fahrenheit oven. It's been cooling now for about 10 minutes. I'm going to grab a little spatula and I just want to go around just to make sure I have a clean break from my baking pan. This is always a good thing to do. So all the way around. And that's good. Grab a little cooling rack. Ooh, still very hot. I'm going to lift this off. Perfect. Put our rack back on. And there we have our really nice cake. So at this point, I'm just going to let this completely cool down and then I'll come back. So this is about an hour later. My cake has completely cooled. What I did was, before putting it onto my cutting board, I just removed that little piece of parchment paper. I've decided not to frost the cake. I want to just show you what this cake looks like with any type of frosting on it. I may frost it later. If I do, I'll take a little bit more video or a couple of pictures for you, just to finish off the video. So let's cut into this. And look at that. Let me put this on a plate and zoom in. Oh, that is so light. So for the last part of our video, I've just zoomed in, as I usually do, just to show you this a little closer up. I just wanted to show you how moist this cake is, and really, really light in color. Really nice. Let me just break into it with my fork. You can see how tender the crumb of the cake is. Of course, I'm going to have to try a little piece. That's really good. Now, if you don't like the almond like I used, you can use vanilla. And if you want to keep the cake really light in color, then you want to use a clear vanilla. So this is a little while later. I've frosted up my cake and I have just finished off a little piece just to show you the final product. So let me zoom in on that. Now that I've zoomed in, you can see a lot more detail on my nice white cake. And I will agree, I went quite heavy on the icing on the top. I have to admit something, I do have a really big sweet tooth and I do love frosting. Obviously, if you don't like frosting that much, you're gonna cut that down to about half of what I put on there. If you wanna make this frosting, I'll put a link to it in the description box underneath this video. I have many different buttercream icings that you might enjoy with this type of cake. So that really is it now for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you wish. I really do appreciate that. That's it, and I'll see you next time. On toast. I've got a pot of water on a low boil. I've got an egg ready to go, and I have some ice water here. I'm going to grab my egg. I'm going to get that ready. I've got my timer here. I'm going to set my timer 5 minutes. I'm going to pop that in, and I'm going to start my timer. And I want to let that go for exactly 5 minutes. When my 5 minutes are up, we're going to remove the egg and put it into the ice water, which will stop that cooking process, and I'll leave it in there for about 30 seconds, just enough time to get the shell off, and then we're going to get it onto a slice of toast. You can see the water here is almost over the egg, but not quite. So I'm just going to let that go. 5 minutes on my timer, and then we'll come back. And we're back. We've got about 7 seconds left of our 5 minutes. So here we go. I'll grab my tongs, gently pull that egg out, and right into our ice water. And shut this off. So that's going to stop the cooking process of the egg, and it's also going to allow me to be able to hold that egg and take the shell off of it. You can let that go for a few seconds and just feel how hot it is. It's not bad. I'm just going to let it go for another couple of seconds. Clean off our area. I've got a piece of toast ready to go on the side here. And that feels good, like that. And now I'm going to start peeling my egg. And remember, the inside is still going to be runny. That's what we're looking for. I'm not looking for a completely hard-boiled egg here. So nice and gentle. I'll keep peeling this. And there we have it. Get that onto my toast. And now I am going to zoom in while we cut into this. So I've zoomed in. I'll grab my knife and my fork and watch this. Perfectly done egg. Look at that. So we'll hit it with a little bit of pepper. A little bit of salt. So there we have it, a perfect egg on toast. I hope you try this at home. Really simple, no fail. I use this method all the time. That's it for this really fast video, and I'll see you next time. is what we need. We need 1 cup of softened butter, 2 eggs. You're going to need 2 cups of chocolate chips, half a teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and 2 teaspoons of vanilla. You're also going to need 1 cup of brown sugar, a half a cup of regular sugar, and also 2 cups of all-purpose flour. We're going to turn all of this into beautiful chocolate chip cookies, so let's get started. Okay, we're back. What we're going to do is we're going to take our softened butter and pop it in there. We're also going to throw in the white sugar and the brown sugar. And the first thing that we want to do is we want to get this cream, we want to cream this up. Now what we're going to do is we're going to break 2 eggs and we're going to add that in with the vanilla. What I always like to do is break the egg one at a time into a bowl. So there's the first egg, just so that you make sure that you don't get any shells. If you're doing an omelet and you've got 8 or 10 eggs and you get a shell in there, it's a little harder to get out. There we go, there's the second egg, and we'll throw in the vanilla and we'll get that going again. That looks good. Okay, now what we're going to do is take another bowl and take your 2 cups of flour and take your salt and your baking soda and put that in there. Then you can just give it a little stir with a spoon. And then what we're going to do is we're going to slowly incorporate this into the batter. Then I'll add another bit. At this point, the batter's done now. The only thing we have left to do is to add in the chocolate chips, so I'm just going to pour them all in. And hopefully my little mixer will be strong enough. If your mixer, at this point, if your mixer is not strong enough, you can just simply get a spatula and fold this stuff in. At this point, that's it for the dough. So I'm going to clean up my work area and I'll come back and we'll bake some cookies. Alright, I'm back. And what we're going to do now is we're going to just grab some of the dough. Make any size you want. I usually go something like that, a good tablespoon. Just take your other spoon and just push it off. You can make them small, big, different sizes if you want. But if you're going to do different sizes, you're better off to bake them on a different sheet, because if you make a larger cookie, it's going to have a different baking time. So if you've got small ones and large ones on the same pan, the smaller ones are going to, they're going to do faster than the other ones. So I'll continue doing this and I'll be back. Okay, I've finished off the tray. I did move a couple of them around. I thought they were a little close together. What we're going to do is we're going to bake them at 375 for about 10 minutes. And depending on your oven, just keep an eye on them. They might be done in 11 minutes, they could be done in 9 minutes, but we'll see how they go. So 375 degrees Fahrenheit. Ooh, those look good. So let's get these onto a cooling rack and we'll be back. Oh, these look good. And they smell really good too. Granulated white sugar, a half a cup of canola oil, 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, 2 eggs, 3 large bananas, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 heaping tablespoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, a half a cup of sour cream, 1 cup of walnuts, and 1 cup of pecans. So those are the ingredients, so let's get started. For our first step, I've placed my 3 bananas in a bowl, and what I have here is a little potato masher, and this is going to make this process really, really easy. And you want to use ripe bananas. Not only do they have more flavor, but you can break them down very, very easily. Now you may have seen me also do this technique just using my hand mixer. So that's up to you which way you want to actually do it. But you can see how easily and fast this is. And that's perfect. To this, I'm going to add in our first egg. We'll grab our mixer. Just get that mixed in. And then egg number 2. I'll add in my salt and my vanilla, and then I'll get in all of my granulated sugar. Okay, that's good, and then we'll get our sour cream in. And we'll get in our beautiful sour cream. And this is going to keep our banana bread really, really moist. And if you don't have sour cream or you don't wish to use sour cream, you can switch over to yogurt. Okay, that's good. I'll grab my mixer again. We'll just mix that in. And then I'll grab my canola oil and get all of that in as well. Once that's really well mixed, now we can add in our flour and baking powder. So I've got a sieve and my all-purpose flour. Get that in. And then our baking powder. We'll just get all of that in and just push the rest through. Perfect. I'll grab my mixer. Speed number 1. I just want to slowly mix this in. And I do have my oven set to 425 degrees Fahrenheit. We're going to bake our banana bread for 5 minutes at that temperature. And then we're going to drop the heat to 375 degrees for the rest of the bake. Okay, that's perfect. And then we're going to add in our nuts. So I have chopped my beautiful pecans. We'll get those in there. And then I have my lovely walnuts. We'll just get all those in as well. Grab our mixer one last time. Speed number 1, and I'm just going to mix these in until combined, and that's it. And then we are ready to fill our little mini pans. Lovely. Now, at this point you're wondering, can I add in a little bit of cinnamon? Yes, you could. You could add in a half a teaspoon or maybe a teaspoon of cinnamon if you wish to this recipe. I have taken some cooking spray and I have greased each one of my little loaf pans, and we are ready to fill them. Try to get all of these pretty even. I'll move over to a spatula. And using a spatula really allows you to really clean out your bowl very well. And that's good. Okay, so we are ready to go. So I'm going to pop these into my 425 degree oven for 5 minutes. Then I'm going to lower the heat to 375 and I'm going to bake them off around 30 minutes. I'll tell you exactly how long I did them when I do get back. Oh, here we go. These just came out of the oven. They're extremely hot, but I wanted to show you them right away. They smell so good. So let me go through before I forget. I had these in the oven 5 minutes at 425 degrees, and then I lowered the temperature to 375 degrees, and I let them go for a total of 35 minutes. At 30 minutes, they weren't quite done. I wasn't really happy, so I let them go for an extra 5 minutes, and I'm happy with them now. 35 minutes. So I'm going to let them cool down a little bit, and then we will unmold them. So these have cooled down quite a bit now, and I will see if we can unmold these. There we go. So if you did a really good job at greasing your little pans, they should come out with no problem. So we'll get them onto our cooling rack here. I'll just show you that these should unmold pretty well as well. You don't want to leave them inside your pan too long. What will happen is the moisture from the heat that's in here, it will create condensation, and then you can get some sticking going on. So you don't want to leave these sitting in there too long, maybe about 15 minutes. As soon as they're a little cooler, where you can actually hold the pan, then you can remove them. And look at that. Perfect again. So there we have it. Our beautiful little banana breads. Walnuts and pecans, a really, really nice combo. So I'm just going to let these completely cool down, and then of course we're going to slice into one. I want to show you what they look like inside. So the last thing to do is to cut into our beautiful banana bread. Oh, look at that. I'm getting this beautiful aroma from it. That looks awesome. Look at that. Oh, really, really nice. Really moist. I'm gonna have to try a piece. Really, really good. I love the walnuts and the pecans in this. Really, really nice. And this is super moist. Very, very good. So I hope you try this recipe out. You will not be disappointed. I promise you, you will love this recipe. So that's it for today. If you enjoyed my video, please give me a thumbs up. I do appreciate that. Subscribe if you wish. And that's it for today. and I'll see you next time. Cherry tomatoes, 2 teaspoons of fresh lime juice, a small onion. We're going to need pepper to taste and also salt to taste. This is a really simple recipe. There are 1,000 recipes out on the internet, but this is mine. Really simple, really easy, so let's get started. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to get our avocado opened up. So I'm just going to open it up. This is very, very ripe. You really want a ripe avocado. There we go. Take your knife, just give it a little turn and it just pops right out. The seed comes right out, just like that. And what I'm going to do is just scoop everything out. And when it's ripe, it just comes out just like that. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? And there we go. That's how easy it is. And you can see how nicely that came out. Beautiful. Okay? Just take yourself a fork and you can just press it down. Or you can use a pastry blender, which is easy as well. But since this is so ripe, this is just coming apart very easily. So just break it all up just like that. And you really do want to get this mixed up properly before you add any of the other stuff in. So there we go. Just like that. Perfect. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to cut up our little cherry tomatoes. So I've got 12 of these here. You can also use a small tomato or medium-sized tomato, whatever size you want, but you want to get all of the seeds of a larger tomato out. So just cut the tomato in half and then just scoop out the inside. That's optional. If you want to have a little bit more juice in your guacamole dip, you can just leave the seeds in. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dice all of these up. So I'm not going to bore you doing all this. I'll just fast forward through the tape here while I'm doing this part. And our last one. Okay, perfect. Okay, on to our next step. All right, the next step, we're gonna dice up our onion. Just like that. Any size that you like. There are no rules. I'll just get that in there as well. Just like that. And then the other half. Just like that. Beautiful. You can see that this is a very, very fast and simple recipe. I'm going to take our lime juice and just get all of that in there. Perfect. And I'll get my spoon or your fork, just mix it all together. You know, and if you want more avocado and less tomato, you can, you know, just use half a tomato. It all depends on what you like. You know, if you want to make a recipe that goes just a little bit further, then you can, you know, add a little bit more stuff to it. So there we go. And the last thing is we'll just put in a little bit of salt. I'm not measuring it, I'm just few turns from my little salt shaker. That's beautiful. And then black pepper, and I'm just gonna just do this by eye. You know, maybe about 1/8 of a teaspoon. There we go, and that's perfect. And just mix it all up, and it's all ready to go. What I'll do now is I'll put a little bit of plastic wrap over this and pop it in the fridge and just let it sit there for a couple of hours. And what that does is it just really gets all of the flavors, you know, melded really nicely together. And there we go. Beautiful. So that is my fast and easy guacamole dip. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.